Yes, my friends, welcome back. Three massive stories to break down for today, and we focus our attentions on Belgian reports, as currently we are linked with one of the hottest wonder kids in European football this season in Gift Orban. Learn the big news surrounding this story. And to move on, we have more Victor Osimhen updates, and we're learning even more information and insight around Pochettino's plans to rebuild our squad for next season. So right now, my friends, we've got a ton of things to break down, discuss, all that good stuff. If you like today's video, I'm hoping you know where to find that like button. And before we continue on, I've got one massive announcement to make. Today's video is sponsored by Chelsea's official betting partners in Parimatch UK. Currently, Parimatch are giving away to their Twitter followers the opportunity to win 2 tickets for our final home game of the season against Newcastle on the 28th of May. And to make things even more exciting, there's also the opportunity to get onto Stamford Bridge's pitch and take part in a halftime challenge where you can win even more prizes, and they include matchday tickets and hospitality tickets for next season. So if you guys want to get ready for next season and watch Pochettino and the boys in style, this is how you participate in this competition. Very easy. Make sure you guys follow at Parimatch UK on Twitter. And then once you do that, reply with hashtag ParimatchCFC and do that on the giveaway post before the deadline, which is 1 PM this Friday, 19th of May. You'll find all the relevant links in the description below. So make sure you guys head over there, enter the competition, and of course, thank you to Parimatch UK for sponsoring today's video. So right now, my friends, let's start things off and let's discuss the latest reports around Mauricio Pochettino. Now, all of us currently are just waiting for this guy to be officially announced, and once it's done, I've got a ton of videos ready for you guys just to give you everything you need surrounding Pochettino, tactics, players, squads, all that good stuff. But in today's reports, which come courtesy of the Evening Standards, we're getting even stronger ideas behind what Pochettino is planning in terms of squad management for next season, and it seems like he is going to be inspired by his time at Tottenham, and that's because Pochettino wants to really rely upon the COBHAM Academy grads, which for me is the right move. But I mean, most of you guys watching this were expecting me to say that. You guys know I'm very unashamed with it. So, of course, in terms of the players that Pochettino is looking at, Levi Colwill is number 1. Now, we all saw his recent game against Arsenal, sensational. You guys know why I've been so gassed and excited by this kid for a long time. Last summer, I kept releasing videos on why he should remain with us for this season, and actually in hindsight it's probably a good thing that he wasn't part of this terrible season with the squad. He's been able to work under De Zerbi, work on strengths in his game, work on being a more proactive style defender that can engage higher up the field, and at the same time De Zerbi is allowing this kid to really flourish and express himself even more on the ball when it comes to playing out from the back. I mean, this kid looks like an elite centre-back in the making, and that is how the club definitely view him. So it is good that Pochettino is a massive fan of Levi Colwill. And all I can say is, thank God that Todd Boehly didn't agree to selling Levi Colwill and instead paid extra money for Cucurella. Now imagine it for a second. Imagine that we sold him for the 18 million last season. What would his valuation be this season? I mean, Brighton are getting over 60, 70 million easily. As I think we could have given up Levi Colwill to sign Gvardiol. I always felt like it was very greedy to have both these guys in the same position together. So, thank God to whoever decided, listen, Levi Colwill is the future and we're not going to sign any more defenders. Now, for the following players that Pochettino was hoping to work with, they include, of course, Reece James, Mason Mount and Conor Gallagher. Now, Reece James is self-explanatory. What is there to really say? He's, for me, the best right back in the league. Hopefully he can build more fitness and consistency, and I'm hoping that now that Gusto comes next season, that's going to mean that Reece James doesn't have to play week in, week out, which is good for him. In the case of Mason Mount, reports are still strongly suggesting that he could be leaving us this season. I mean, Arsenal and Liverpool are the main favourites at this point in time, and there was a report that came out that wasn't confirmed, so make sure you guys are hearing what I'm saying. These are not confirmed reports I'm discussing, but I'll mention them anyway. And they said that back during the start of this year, Mount was offered a 1-year extension, which is why he turned it down, because the whole play-employ at the time was to, of course, increase his market value in case he was to go. So there's no confirmation around the story. We don't know. But with Pochettino giving the co-sign of approval for Mason Mount, you'd like to think that he can influence the club and help things together now to get Mount to sign a new deal, because regardless of how some people feel about him, for the football that Pochettino wants to play, Mount suits that to a T, and he's the type of guy that teammates like to play with because he's a real team player. So let's see what happens with Mason Mount. But for Conor Gallagher, I kind of feel like if Conor was to be sold, it's going to be because he receives a ridiculous offer. Because we know that Newcastle, Liverpool, many big clubs, they have money for Conor Gallagher this window. Obviously, it's nice that Pochettino sees Gallagher as part of his plans. I mean, you guys have seen the FBref reports. I've been saying that this guy, for me, is like our version of a Nico Barella. If he was from Uruguay or something, he'd probably have a lot more clout and respect in his game. But it's quite obvious that this is a guy that you can build from. And if he had that set position, the right-hand side of a midfield three, who knows what could happen. But at the same time, if we receive crazy offers, and if Gallagher felt like, listen, I want to be a first-team guy guaranteed elsewhere, I feel like we could be open to a sale. So I think this explains our current interest in some midfield players at this point in time, because with the futures of Mount and Gallagher being up in the air, we can't just wait for them to decide what's going to happen. We don't want to miss out on targets and the opportunity to strengthen the team in case these guys were to leave. Now for me, I think this is like a very smart thing that Pochettino is doing. Pochettino isn't just about tactics solely. He's a guy that wants to create that family feel at his clubs, a sense of unity, like shared values. I discussed that in yesterday's video. And at Tottenham, he introduced like Kyle Walker, Eric Dyer, Kane, Rose, Dele Alli, and even more players. And for me, it's simply this. We can't be a club next season that's comprised of like 25 different individual players that have spent less than 6 months in the country. Like, you're not going to become a team overnight like that. I think the guys that have been there and done that, they're the tangible aspect that kind of bind everything together. And I think that type of balance is probably the best way for us to move in a healthy direction. So they're the first reports out the way. Let's now move on to discussing one of the exciting stories of today. And we turn our attention to Belgian reports because currently we want to sign the guy that scored the quickest hat-trick in European competition history and one of the standout young players in Europe, and that is Gift Orban. Since signing for Ghent, 19 games, 19 goals. He scored 2 hat-tricks. He scored 4 goals in one game. And altogether, he scored 6 braces since signing for Ghent. I'll discuss Gift's game in even more detail later on, but let's focus on the reports first. And, courtesy of Belgian reports, it states that we have been heavily scouting Gift Orban. We were recently spotted watching his performances against Ghent's game against Cercle Brugge, where Gift scored a hat-trick in that game. Now, there's a lot of symmetry in this story today because Gift shares the same agency as David Datro Fofana. And to continue on with these reports, it looks like we are hoping to make a bid to sign in the summer, but the only difference is we prefer to loan him out for next season, which for me is a responsible thing to do. Now, the report states that, Gift, of course, very confident in his game right now. He's absolutely on fire. He feels like in pre-season he could surprise people at this football club and potentially win a spot in the squad for next season. We'll see what happens. Let's try and sign this guy first, right? But I think that just sums up the ambition and the form that Gift's had this season. So I guess right now, let's discuss the gift that keeps on giving this season. Terrible pun, couldn't help doing it. And I want to actually give you guys some insight behind this game and why he's actually attracting so much interest and why so many big clubs are heavily scouting him at this point in time. Now, he plays up front as a striker. As I mentioned, 19 goals, 19 games, and they include a host of goals in European competition, domestically and in playoff games in Belgium for European spots for next season. He's only signed for Ghent this January and already 19 goals in 19 games. That is ridiculous. And in the space of 2 years when he was playing for FC Bison in Nigeria before moving to Stabæk, I think in Norway, playing in the second division under them before getting his first team chances this season before moving on again this January for Ghent. It's been a ridiculous rise over 2 years. And as you guys have seen in the clips, I think one of the things that evidently stands out about his game is his finishing prowess. And in my opinion, I see a little bit of comparisons between him and Aguero in the sense they can both score with 2 feet, left foot, right foot. They score a variety of goals. They show great shooting technique. Gift hits these balls first time, he hits them hard, he hits them low. And when you hit your strikes like that, it makes it very hard for the keeper to react in time to stop you. You'll see now he can easily adjust his body balance to kind of connect with these shots with, balls going behind him. And he's doing this with his left foot and his right foot. He's scoring goals from outside the box, inside the box. He shows tons of instinctual energy, making darting runs near post, far post. He leads the line on counter-attacks too. He can carry the ball, he runs the channels, and his dribbling success rate is very high. I'm just liking how he's constantly just adjusting his body in the best way to connect properly, with these balls. And, his strike is really pure and is very hard. So the guy's showing a ton of promise right now. But I think what really fascinates me about Gift is that you have to kind of see it like this, right? In my opinion, and don't quote me to this, but I'm of the belief for myself that a lot of what he does is very instinctual. Why? Because he hasn't been given the opportunity of having like high-level coaching from Europe. He was literally playing back home 2 years ago. And my thing is, if he's already displaying this level of quality and talent when he's mostly going off pure individual ability, pure footballing instincts, imagine how much further this guy can go in particular once he has more time, of course, working with proper high-level coaches, because high-level coaches help you just fine-tune parts of your game that you might not necessarily think about. For example, there can be little details like how you dribble with the ball. Like, if you protect the ball with your foot, for example, that allows you to ride incoming challenges where at times you're going to have to get your body in front of the ball, right? And maintain things. And, Gift's a very young guy, only 20 years old, but there are improvements he could make, especially if he was to come to a more like physical league like the Premier League. For example, he can be maybe dispossessed a bit easily from behind. He doesn't have the right upper body strength, and he doesn't know the right techniques really, just to be able to play against teams that are looking to be very aggressive against him from behind. His awareness could improve in the sense of knowing when to release the ball to his teammates, things like hold up, etc, etc, but these are things that you can easily work upon. What Gift's showing are things that you can't really coach, and the fact that he has so many high-level skills already, wow, it makes this kid very exciting and very interesting. So share your thoughts and opinions. How do you feel about this news? Are you excited? Let us know below. And to end things, let's discuss the updates surrounding Victor Osimhen. Now, we have some reports today from The Guardian, and it reports that Pochettino sees Osimhen as his #1 striker, which is interesting. And we know that they're heavily linked with guys like Lautaro Martinez, but I think naturally it means that he is the second option in case, a move for Osimhen is just too expensive or if we can't sign him. Now, after spending 4 seasons at Napoli, it's probably the right time for him now to leave, especially when he was promised the opportunity to leave if he helped Napoli win this year's Scudetto. We know he has that personal affiliation with us. He grew up being a fan. His role model and idol is Didier Drogba, who he hopes to emulate in his own way. We've scouted him a lot this season. I found the recent scouting news a bit interesting because it revealed that our scouts were very disappointed by his performance against, I think, Monza. But to be fair with you, they've won the Scudetto. The game is pretty meaningless. But here's what I took from this takeaway, because if you assess the different profiles of strikers we're looking at, some of these strikers are better running in behind and playing on the last line. And some of these strikers are better at bringing others into the game by linking up the final thirds. And for me, who you decide to sign is going to have big impacts in terms of how the team's going to play. And let's focus now on Osimhen. I think currently I see him as like an incredible advanced forward style player. And I feel like Osimhen's game really reminds me a little bit of like Cavani in his prime, to be fair. Like really incredible movement. In particular, Osimhen's ability to peel off to the far post. Like the amount of goals you score from headers this season from doing that, really good. And to be honest, that is probably something we could benefit from, because sometimes in our team when we can't find creative solutions, we put in quality crosses that meets no one in the box. And I think this is where Osimhen, who for me is the best header of the football up front in the world, would really prosper from service like this. Still though, going back to those scouting reports, I'm not going to put too much emphasis on them. But at the same time, what if it does reveal that, Osimhen isn't like the complete striker in the sense that, if you was to come to the Premier League, play for us, and you're playing against teams that are parking the bus, you might have to show some other facets in your game. And if you really want to emulate Didier Drogba, Drogba could create, he could score, he could drop deep, he could run the channels, he can hold the line, he can hold off defenders, he could do all of that. And Osimhen's only 24 years old, and already what he's showing right now is incredible. When he's really in his prime, by the time he's 28, who knows what this guy's going to be like. But I kind of feel like if we were to sign Osimhen, he'll also be a project for us at the same time, because I feel like Osimhen can really develop more parts of his game. Like, he can develop that hold-up play even more. He can improve on those like target man capacities when, you know, we're probably going to need them playing in the Premier League. Currently, I think that Osimhen does his best work close to goal. So maybe we're addressing these things in our scouting reports to try and bring the valuation of Osimhen down a bit, because I don't think many clubs can afford the valuation that Napoli have priced on him. And if he does leave them, he won't be leaving for 150 million. I think it'll be a way less than that, in my opinion. So my friends, on that note, they are the 3 big stories today. Share your thoughts and opinions. And of course, before you turn this video off, take part in this competition giveaway, and you could win an opportunity, of course, to be at our final home game of this season against Newcastle. So my friends, on that note, I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lions TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos. Cool.